you know, I would always rather have a little bit extra than run out. It's like, wouldn't you agree? So this is the pool, which is it's big. It's a big pool, and it hasn't been painted for like 9 years, and so it was just continually growing algae. Pump couldn't keep up with it, so we had to paint it. So then I went to and I have no way to. I don't know how to figure out the mass of this thing for volume. So we go to the paint store, and they're like, oh, for sure, this is how much you need. I know that pool. That's a common thing in the DR. We have a solar system here, and I've had probably 4 or 5 groups of electricians come out, and every single one of them was here when they installed their original system, even though some of them weren't that old. They couldn't have been here. So the paint people were like, I know that pool. I know how much paint you need. So here it is, painted, and it's got a cure now. How do I know it's cured? I gotta make sure it doesn't rain. You've already seen the weather if you've been following us this last week for our work down in the farmlands. So it's rained. It's been stormy. It's gonna rain again today. I just put the last protective coat on it on the outside, so you can see how protective-y it looks now on this upper part, but it looks no different. And so at some point it's supposed to be good, but you don't want to fill it up before it's good. But you'll know. Just like they knew how much paint to order. And so we have about 4 times as much paint and sealant as we originally needed. So, typically I'm like, I'm one of those people that it's better to have, a little bit left over than to have to kind of go back and then get the last thing. But I'm going to show you how far it is to walk this paint up to where it needs to go. And so I'm reassessing that belief system now. As I'm slugging, it's like 100 degrees out, 100 something heat index. It's a nice breeze though. And I had a good friend that during the pandemic, he didn't do the best job taking care of himself. And you may know people like this also. And he ended up falling into several addictions: drinking, gambling, sex. He had an affair against his wife, and he kind of even though he was the one that made all these bad decisions based on coping mechanisms, he kind of like developed this stance of like blaming his family. Like, well, if I just had more support, I wouldn't be doing these things. And I don't know, like that seems like a common thing, but really in the idea of neurology, it's like our system just kind of gets hijacked by stress and inactivity and negativity, and then our amygdala, our emotional brain, kind of takes control. So here's how far I gotta lug it up. I'm gonna stack it right here, and then I'll eventually have to pull my rig down to there and then load it into there. So I gotta do this with like 10 of these boxes or something. So I'm gonna bring this full circle. I swear, I promise. And so he was asking me about like leaving his wife, and like how it was her fault that he's done all these things. And they had a great life like up pre-pandemic, and there's a lot of people I know that kind of fit in that same boat, and like just like the toxicity of everything associated with the pandemic just like hijacked everyone's systems and put them into a status of dysregulation, and so the majority of my friends were like, you gotta be happy with yourself, you gotta be true to yourself, and I'm like, fuck, forget that, dude. Like, you made a promise to this person. You need to get your shit together and get healthy and stop making stupid decisions. And to which he felt negative about that advice. I know it's weird. And and I told him, like, dude, like, your poor wife is suffering the consequences of your decisions. You're the leader of the house, and you kind of owe it to her to, like, clean up this mess you've made. So he didn't clean it up. He went off, and it's kind of a funny thing. He ended up finding like another girl with kids, and like just like kind of like sidestepped into like a different family. And it was like this interesting observation of how like nothing really changed. It's just simply like he just swapped. It's like he had something really good, and he just exchanged it for something that was different, but it like quantifiably it was the same. And so there's a lot to unpack there as far as neurology is concerned, as in our associations with negativity. But one of the things I attempting to help him, he asked me what I thought about the whole decision. And again, not a good idea. Don't do that. And because I'm gonna tell you, and it's probably gonna be hurtful. And because I'm a person that whether it is because of my upbringing, or the fact that I work construction and I love working construction, or the fact that I had a significant brain damage when I was in high school in a rollover car accident, and I have learned that really anything that hurts us, if we can accept it and then heal from it, it actually makes us stronger. So when I have an opportunity to share some very honest feedback, I don't take into consideration that's hurtful, and that's something I'm working on. I realize that's a personality fault within myself, and our culture, especially since our culture swung so heavily the other side of like placate to feelings, and you can now like extrapolate to what that byproduct is. If the things that challenge us and harm us, if we can adapt to them, they make us stronger. You get rid of the challenges, you get rid of the harm, you've actually just gotten rid of any ability to develop strength physically or emotionally. And now the coping mechanisms that we kind of lean into as a culture can make a lot of sense. So the full circle though was this friend, we've kind of had this back and forth where he kind of comes back and he's like, oh gosh, and I've reflected on blah blah, and I want to be better and make some healthy decisions, and then falls back into the addiction cycle of whether it is like this new lady friend that is not healthy, and or whatever the other, gambling or alcohol or drugs, whatever, or the combination for this friend, and then the cycle of, well, what do you think? And I tell him, and then he's no longer my friend for a bit, and so one thing that he told me, he said, I'm going to be honest with you, Devin. He's like, the reason why I get so mad at you is because you just make it look easy. And which I thought, hola Ramon, which I thought, it's kind of a funny thing, because as I'm lugging cans of paint and as I'm chopping down things and spiky trees and I have 1,000 slivers in my hands, it doesn't feel easy. and so I can't help but wonder if there's a simple truth to that. Because if someone's going to ask you, would you rather get strong instantly or avoid all challenges, what would you choose? And if you're a person that would say, I would like to get strong instantly, that is actually our status of our automatic nervous system. Our autonomic nervous system immediately accepts challenges and then converts them to strength through the autonomic nervous system process. And I had the opportunity to speak with one of the experts in the world of HRV and vagus nerve function, Dr. Yuri Gitrov, old PhD in neuroanatomy in the University of Israel as a professor. He's published a ton of research, and I was on a conference call with him. I wasn't supposed to be part of the conversation, but somehow no one else could get in on the Zoom call, so I was able to ask like the expert in the world on neurology, his perspective, and he's told me, he said, you're such an idiot. He used choice words to tell me to stop talking. He said, you understand, like, when you can truly grasp how strong the vagus nerve is, by focusing on the negative, you actually inhibit your brain's ability to immediately get stronger. Because if our nervous system's operating and it's calibrated to function how it's supposed to, like, we immediately get stronger as we get damaged. Immediately. That's our healing nervous system is faster than our damaging fight or flight nervous system by multiple factors. Isn't that wild? So, Chelsea and I, we're going to do a Facebook Live tonight. We've had every time we come back home, we have people say, hey, we've been following your guys' story and following your guys' project. So if there is any questions, or you have a desire to touch base with what we're doing and what our project is, what our mission is here, what our mission is back home, what we're building on, what we're growing, comment below this video with what time is available for you for a Facebook Live, because we're pretty flexible as far as the evenings are concerned, mainly because everything is Dominican time. Like, it's like we could have a thunderstorm that just lights up, and then we can't do anything outside, so we're now stuck inside. So we're pretty flexible when it comes to scheduling now. So if you'd like to connect via Facebook Live, comment below in the time, and I got another 5 boxes of paint to haul. Cheers.